Hello, teachers, and thank you so much for joining this live streamed community event on teaching English. We're currently live streaming on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube right now, so do let us know where you're watching us from. My name is Marcus James, I'm part of the social media team here at the British Council for Teaching English, and to my right on screen we have two of our fantastic moderators from one of our African teams, Abel and Blessing. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, Marcos. Thank you. Very fine, and you?
I'm very well, thank you as well. Teachers watching
Yeah,
from home, how are you doing?
yeah. Thank you, Marcus. And it's such a pleasure to be here. And everyone who has joined in, it's good to have you. How are you doing? Thank
I
you.
think we're all good. Teachers are currently joining us. We've got Wham in the background who is moderating the live chat. Um, okay, right. All right, so we're talking about our theme that we're just wrapping up after 3 months discussing planning lessons and courses. We've obviously had webinar events, we've had discussions on our social media, we've had professional development resources being used by teachers all around the world as well. Let's kick off then with what we discovered in our recent webinars that both of you were moderating on. If I start with Abel, you tell us briefly what was the theme of those recent webinars that you moderated on?
Thank you very much, Marcus. The theme of the webinars that we moderated this quarter is basically on managing classrooms and planning lessons and looking at what we had with many of our viewers and audiences all around Africa. We had very impressive turnouts, and we were able to share in these webinars organized by the Teaching English team, English Connect, precisely. Teachers all around Africa, particularly in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa, showcasing how they can learn about planning lessons and ensuring that their classroom activities are improved. From our end here, moderating these webinars showed how people all around Africa need these um, webinars and resources to improve the quality of their interactions in classrooms. And in Africa, we have issues of large classes. We also have issues of low resources. So it was an opportunity for us to engage teachers across all levels: primary schools, secondary schools, and even tertiary institutions. So it's really amazing to see how these webinars have transformed classroom activities and even planning lessons and courses, for the teachers that we are engaged with. Yeah.
Excellent. And Blessing, obviously, you were involved in moderating and setting up the events. What did you learn as a teacher from those webinars?
Yes, thank you very much, Marcus. So it's been really amazing, this last quarter, talking about planning lessons and courses. In moderating some of these webinars and even on our Telegram page, moderating our Telegram discussions, I can boldly say that this is one of the most interesting themes that we've had this year, because we've had, just like Abel mentioned earlier, we've seen an increase in attendance in our webinars this last quarter. And even in the Telegram COP, we actually had more engagements, yes, because of the topics. Teachers want to really know about planning lessons, about managing their classes. And as a moderator, it gave me an insight into the needs of the teachers. So we could really see what they are interested in. So fast forward to the most recent webinar we just had, December 5th, where we talked about rethinking global issues, and we talked about AI, equity, and climate issues. And we had a poll, because before each webinar, we usually have a poll. And thanks to Steve Dale, our open learning manager, who always assists us in sending these polls to ensure that we are well prepared before the webinar to know what the teachers are expecting. So Steve sent this poll, which says, which global issue do you think is most important to address in English lessons? So we had 45% people that says AI and technology, and 40% say equity and inclusion, and 15% say climate change are most important to them. So from this poll, we could see that most teachers see AI and technology as the most important global issue to address in their English lessons. And we could see this play out during the December 5th webinar, which was actually a global event to showcase African voices. And we could see that teachers were very keen on the aspect of AI and technology that was presented by Mohammed Saif from Sudan. And a lot of questions came around this area on planning lessons with the use of AI and all of this. And Mohammed was able to give very, very good responses. Some teachers still feel guilty, planning courses and lessons with AI, but after that webinar, we could actually see how we could use AI, in an ethical manner. So I've had the chance to also learn from various countries, the various challenges. Abel mentioned large classes as one of the challenges we face in Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa. And I think it's really, really true. And one of the ways we can actually solve this issue is the use of technology. So from the December 5th webinar, we gained a lot of insight about how we could use AI and various tools of technology to solve the problem of technology, to actually reduce burnout as well as teachers. So it's really, really been a great time this last quarter, learning about managing and planning for courses and our lessons. So thank you very much, Marcus.
Excellent. Just going to give a quick shout out to a few teachers who are watching us on Facebook. Addis in Cuba, um, Amsalu in Araminch. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure where that is. Um, and Mohammed from Somaliland, Carlos in Honduras. Quite a good global representation. Delwende asks about, you mentioned the Telegram group. Blessing, obviously, it's a bit difficult at the moment, but do you have a link to that? Possibly we can share later in the comments. That'd be great. I'll liaise with Wem in the background on that. And Delwende is in Burkina Faso, which is great. Now, you mentioned about planning lessons. One of the great discussions that we've had recently and is summarized in a lovely PDF form, and I appreciate it's very difficult to see on a small screen. But this poll in the center of your screen there, where teachers plan, the vast majority, in fact, over 3/4 of teachers do their planning. Where do you think they do their planning? At home, at school, on the bus? Where do you think?
Wow. So for me, I would think that teachers could do their planning at home, at school. It all depends on their schedule, and it all depends on how comfortable they are wherever they would prefer to plan their lesson. So for me, as a class teacher, I could plan my lesson anywhere. I could even be on the streets walking, and I see something, and I say, "Oh, this would be good for me to share," and I just quickly take a note or take a picture. So when it comes to planning lessons, I don't think it has to be rigid. You don't need a particular area, to plan. So planning, it keeps occurring at any time. You know. So when teachers have this in mind, that they could actually learn from their environment, they could learn from any avenue, every opportunity that they have, they can learn. So you don't wait to a particular time for you to plan. So it's always ongoing. So that's
That's
for me.
right. You're absolutely right. Over three quarters of the teachers who responded to our poll said they plan at home. Various reasons for that. Obviously, the school closes when you want to do your planning, or you want to go home first and have some dinner. A lot of teachers said that they feel more comfortable planning at home as well. Maybe it's about that environment. I've got a lovely comment here from Ricardo.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of planning at home because it's mostly unpaid time. What do you recommend to plan faster? It takes me a long time. Uh, Abel and
Yeah.
Blessing, any advice for Ricardo
Yeah.
on this one?
Absolutely. Some of the webinars we had this quarter showcased some teacher associations, UNELTA from Uganda, ELTAN from Nigeria, where um, you can belong to a cluster or a teacher association where you have lessons already planned, and you can adopt some of these lessons planned by teachers like yourself to use in your classroom. And these are some of the things that we at the British Council try to promote as much as possible. Teachers, the well-being of teachers, and teachers being able to work in clusters and connect with their colleagues, share good practices, and even become better at what they do. So for Ricardo, I would just say yes, I understand that planning your lessons at home can be quite challenging, looking at maybe the environment where you live. Even though most teachers will like to work at night everywhere is a little bit calm and cool. But I mean, you can also leverage on the expertise of other teachers who have done these plans, and then you can adopt so that it can save you time and energy. So that's the quick fix I can give to that question.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Wham is gonna share a link that Blessing just posted to me. I've forwarded it on to her for the Teach English Africa page, where you can find a link to join the Telegram group if you're in that part of the world. Excellent. Thank you for that. There was another couple of interesting points that came up in that summary. Again, sorry, I know it's very, very small there, but on the right, we're talking about the challenges of planning. And Ricardo mentioned, time is obviously one of those issues. I'm just going to see if I can go a little bit larger there. I think most teachers find the biggest problem is adapting the lesson or the lesson content that may be suggested in the course book, in the curriculum. All of our learners are different, and we have to obviously differentiate for different abilities, of different strengths. Um, it's the biggest problem in large classes, as you mentioned there, Abel. What tips would you give as a practicing teacher, especially with large classes, on adapting those lessons? What do you do first?
Yeah, so for me, I would say that it's very important that teachers carry their students along while planning their lessons, because oftentimes you see teachers just trying to plan the lesson alone without actually thinking about the needs of their learners or looking out for the needs of the learners. So I'll tell you what I mean. I'll just quickly read out this excerpt that was shared on the Telegram COP, and this is from a teacher in Cameroon. And it says, I asked my students to create posters on the themes of waste reduction, renewable energy, and biodiversity conservation. The students then presented their posters in class and discussed ways to implement these actions in their daily lives. I found that students were more motivated and engaged in learning English when they were involved in activities that directly concerned them. Now, if this teacher hadn't given out this projects, this project-based lesson topic to the students to go experiment on their own, the teacher wouldn't be able to find out exactly what the students need. But after they were able to, make their research, make their presentation, the teacher now realizes that the students were more motivated to learn and they were more engaged in learning, when they have activities that, concerns them, that meets up with their own needs, their own expectations. So I think before we even go into planning, we need to first of all understand our learners or our students, find out what they really need, what are they interested in, and when we have that at the back of our minds, and we engage them in some of these activities, they come, they give us their feedback. We are able to plan better for them than just sitting down, working out, and working our minds out, thinking about what they need, when we can actually, make them, do these things and find out from them whatever they found, whatever research they've carried out on those topic areas. So I think it has to be a collaboration between the students and the teachers. You need to know about their interest so that you can meet their needs while planning. So that's the first
Lovely.
step for me.
Thank you for that. So, a quick shout out. You've obviously got fans in the audience. Tesfaye, I'm not sure if you recognise them from
Yeah.
Of
your
course.
particular
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, a couple of comments just to touch on now. This is an interesting one, and this is something that came up in discussions as we've been focusing on the theme on our social channels. From Rachna, I take consideration the transition periods when planning lessons, and I think that's something a lot of teachers overlook. We're focusing on the lesson content and forgetting about the different parts between those
Yeah.
stages. Again, it can be a lot more challenging with those large classes, can't it? Any tips for managing those transition periods? I know some teachers use like a
Sure.
countdown, some use a bit of music to change the energy levels. Abel, what about
Yeah.
you? Any tips?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was a webinar I had um, earlier this year on um, assessing learning and how we can differentiate for different learners. And then we also have issues of large classes, like you mentioned. And um, it's good that as teachers, we think about our learners while we plan our lessons. But in a situation where you have large classes and you've got people with invisible disabilities, sometimes you don't even know what to expect, when you get into these classrooms. One tip that has always worked for me is to come with an open mind, even though I have my lessons already planned, but I come with an open mind and I make sure that my classrooms have activities that transition from the warm up session to the main class, the main teaching time or the interaction time when I facilitate the learning process with the students. And then, of course, it has an ending time, a conclusion part where we do some form of formative assessment to be sure that what we have learned for the day is clearly understood. So, the quick tip I'll just give is that as a teacher, as a facilitator, always come prepared. Nothing beats preparedness. If you are not prepared, you are likely going to extend beyond your time, or you would not even cover as much as you had planned. So you prepare for your class, have your transitions clearly marked out. If you want to warm up, you can warm up for maybe 5 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on the subject you want to teach or the topic that you want to cover for the day. And while you are preparing, ensure that you put into consideration some of these invisible disabilities. And thank God for AI. So, with the help of AI, you can model your topic according to particular abilities. Some students are visual, some are auditory, some are kinesthetic, some are audio visual, audio digital. So you put that at the back of your mind while preparing for your lesson, and when you are delivering, because you have your your plan, you stick to your plan as much as you can, but come with an open mind to get everyone involved. That will help a great deal. Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Got a question from Ong. I heard there's backward design in lesson planning. Could you tell me more details, please? I'm not 100% sure I'm aware of backward design, but certainly I do plan my lessons backwards. I start from the end, envisaging what I want my learners to go away with. Will they be better at using certain structures? Will they now be able to describe something a little bit better? Will they have practiced some fluency activities to boost their confidence? I think there are so many things, and then you move your way backwards. Well, how am I going to get to that point? Well, I want them to be able to have had a good practice before they leave the classroom. I want
Yeah.
to make sure that they're confident at understanding the situation, and I move all the way to the beginning of the lesson. That's a great little point. Anything to add on that? Blessing, I see you're nodding away there.
Yeah. So yeah, just like you said, Marcus. So when I hear backward design, I think it's something new. But I think what you just talks about is exactly what Marcus has said. Thinking about the lesson outcome, having the lesson outcome in mind. What are those key skills you want them to take away from your lesson, apart from the content, apart from the theories right now? What are those skills? What will they learn? What are the major takeaways apart from the theories of grammar, vocabulary, and all of those things? Are there areas specifically where they could apply those skills? So when we talk about backward design and lesson planning, I think, yeah, you start from the outcomes, have the outcomes in mind before emphasizing on your content. Thank you.
Absolutely love that. I'm just going to return to our little summary again. I appreciate it's quite small to see on screen, but on the the third page, on the right there, our other community. Obviously, you mentioned your Telegram for teachers in Africa, but we've also got our courses for teachers Facebook group, and recently we hit 100,000 members in our closed Facebook group that supports the learning of teachers who are actively enrolled in one of our many courses. All of the details about our theme and this lovely PDF summary and the courses that are still available for enrolment can be found in the link in the description, and Wham hopefully will pop that link in the live chat on Instagram. You can just check out our bio, you'll find the link there. So congratulations to Courses for Teachers Facebook group, and you still have time to enrol on many of our courses that focus on planning lessons and courses, along with a whole bunch of new courses that will begin in the new year. Okay. Excellent. And of course, all of the webinar recordings as well that Abel and Blessing mentioned can be found on that page, along with lots of professional development resources. Essentially, one page, you can find everything you need to know on planning lessons and courses. There's one thing you may have noticed recently as well. We're looking for webinar presenters for next year. Basically, there is a link in our bio on Instagram, and there is a couple of posts on our Facebook page, and we'll pop the link in the description as well. So if you'd like to share some expertise with the audience on teaching English as a presenter of a webinar, do let us know. And of course, if a webinar is a bit too meaty, we're also looking for contributions from community members like yourself. A 1-minute video, that's all we're looking for, to share maybe a teaching tip or a review of a webinar that you watched, or something that you've tried out, or anything that you'd like to share with the community. So again, on Instagram there's a link in our bio to our Share Your Story link, and also on Facebook as well. It's a pinned post at the top of our page. So having a quick look at, oh, I love this comment from Rachna. Whatever I plan, this should fit the learning objectives, else it's futile. You're absolutely right. I mean, if you're not meeting those objectives, it doesn't matter what you plan. Not so useful after all. Okay, just checking. Tesfaye says, excellent, Abel. Preparation is key. Characteristics of a good teacher and is part of planning. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, Abel and Blessing, so much for joining this live streamed event on Teaching English. We do look forward to plenty more discussions in the new year. And thank you, teachers, for watching. Yeah, we will see you in the new year. If you are celebrating, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.